The time has come for me to live in luxury. Jennifer told me that over the phone. Telephone. She said in a sarcastic tone and resentment. When I first heard her words, I experienced a heaviness in my stomach. I hurriedly launched my banking app. As my pulse raced at what I saw, I had recently left the hospital following a terrible vehicle collision. I had 3 weeks there, feeble and hardly able to go. However, observing the charges on my credit card quickly woke me awake. There was a $90,000 was spent in total on pricey designer goods. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Cartier. It seemed like someone had left shopping excessively while I was arguing for my own life. Mary Berry is my name. I'm 35 years old. I've always put in a lot of effort. I established a prosperous life for myself. I was aware Jennifer, my sister-in-law, had always felt envious. She frequently made impolite remarks on my home, my employment and my clothing. However, I didn't think she would proceed thus far. I located her credit card in your handbag when I came to see you, Jennifer said in a tone of pride. Didn't even attempt to conceal her possessions. Done. Everything is always yours. You never have to go through what I go through. Thus, I felt that this was reasonable. You consistently show off, therefore I'm getting even this way. I inhaled deeply. I remained weak. But I knew I had to maintain my composure. Jennifer, I said while maintaining my tone. Stable. Your actions weren't simply incorrect. This is credit card theft and it's against the law. She simply laughed. A heartless, frigid laugh. Oh, she said, please. We're family, and you were unconscious anyhow. You ought to be grateful that I was present to assist Kevin with the children. Consider this as payment. Kevin, my spouse, had been putting in every effort to ensure of our 2 kids during my time in the hospital. He needed to balance his job, the children, and coming to see me every day. I knew he had faith in his sister's assistance, yet that was obviously a mistake. You know. Jennifer, what? Remaining composed, I said. I appreciate you sharing all of this with me. In fact, it's really beneficial. She hesitated. What are you saying? She inquired. Oh. Nothing, I answered. I appreciate you taking the time to clarify everything. Evidently, there was stillness for a while. Then, with a sharp tone, she said, anyway, nothing can be proven by you. Kevin is going to believe me instead of you. He is aware. You can be so dramatic. I didn't reply. I just hung up the phone. Then I hit the button to make a call to my nurse. My nurse, Linda, arrived a short while later. Into the space. All right, Mary? Gently she inquired, Linda, do you remind me that the hospital placed fresh security cameras in each space? The ones that record, I inquired. Sound as well as visual. She nodded. Last month they were added. Do you need to get something reviewed by the security team? After waking up for the first time, I grinned. Sure, please. Would you mind as well? For me, phone Officer Jacob. It was time to reveal the truth. Jennifer had stolen from me, and she acknowledged it. However, I had evidence this time, and I was prepared to defend myself. I must report I said, theft. The following few hours were bustling. Officer Jacob showed up, entered the medical facility, and took a seat to take my declaration. I informed him of all that had been caused by the odd phone call. Jennifer and I discussed the charges on my credit card. He then requested that Examined the security footage from the hospital. It was quick. The cameras had captured everything. She was there. As Jennifer entered my hospital room, examining the surroundings, then silently opening my bag. It was evident from the footage that she photographing my credit card and returning it as if nothing had occurred. Later, the video even captured her sitting next to me, giggling and taking selfies in bed while I was unconscious. Officer Jacob examined his notes and gave me a serious glance. "Mrs. Berry, this is an obvious case of credit," he said. "Card fraud. Are you interested in pressing charges?" Prior to my words, the door of the hospital room swung open, and it was my Kevin, his husband, appeared anxious and breathless. "Liv, what's happening?" he inquired. "I just got a call from Jennifer, who was." "You're making up lies," she added, sobbing. I remained silent about her. Rather, I indicated the tablet in the hand of Officer Jacob. "Take note, Kevin murmured, leaning to examine the video. His face initially appeared bewilderment, but as he continued to observe, his face shifted and his eyes widened. When he witnessed his sister robbing me, he observed her grinning and having fun with my credit card as though it were some sort of humor. She informed me that she had come to pray for you, Kevin murmured, sinking into the chair next my bed. She uttered. She was assisting. She assisted herself in $90,000 in designer merchandise. Kevin sat there talking to Officer Jake about it. Turned to face me after a brief period of silence. He had sorrow in his eyes. "I can't. I think she did this," he muttered. Officer Jacob gave me another glance. "Mrs. Berry, should we proceed with looking at Kevin?" I asked, pressing charges. He appeared heartbroken but certain. He gave a nod and grasped my hand. "Take action. Jennifer must to discover that relatives don't steal from family." A short while after, my phone rang and Jacob departed. It was Jennifer once more. This time, Kevin chose put the phone on speaker and make the call. "Kevin, I'm grateful." Jennifer broke down in tears. "Mary is telling lies. She is attempting to destroy my life. You are aware of her personality." "Give up," Kevin stated firmly. "You're on camera." Everything was captured on hospital cameras. On the other end, there was stillness. I. Jennifer answered hastily, "I can explain. I was going to reimburse it. I simply had to." Kevin said, "To save it for the police. They're en route to your residence, correct? Right now." He ended the call. I reclined, leaning against my pillow, exhausted from suddenly. However, for the first time in weeks, I was also at ease. The reality was out at last. Jennifer had taken up my time in the medical facility to rob me. She believed I wouldn't learn. She pondered. She may avoid punishment, but instead, she had revealed her true self to everyone. Kevin firmly grasped my hand. I'm sorry," he said. "I ought not to have trusted her." I assured her, "It's not your fault. None of this is him." It was time now to proceed with our side of the truth and the tranquility that results from justice being at last it was served. I muttered. She will soon discover that stealing from family has its repercussions. What always returns after going around. The next. I had a busy few days at the hospital. Was still recuperating from the vehicle accident, growing more powerful every day. I was assisted in walking short by Nurse Linda. Distances and the physicians maintained a tight watching me. However, even as I recovered, there remained the case with Jennifer too. Handle. Officer Jacob returned with an update, as I could see just looking at his expression, that anything has occurred. Jennifer was taken into custody at her apartment. Stated that she was taken aback. There were shopping bags everywhere. The price tags were still attached to some. You ought to have seen him shake his head. Her expression when we applied the shackles. She said that everything was a huge error, but we have all we require. We possess the video footage. She made a purchase using both her own and your card. Voice acknowledging it on the phone, but the case was handled by Officer Jacob, and I centered on recovering, but my phone. The phone kept ringing. Jennifer began fabricating stories to hide what she was calling relatives, like she had done friends and family, stating that I had granted her authorization to utilize my credit card, saying I was now attempting to make her look bad, place the blame on her. My stomach turned as I heard the voicemail from Patricia, my mother-in-law. I've always envied Jennifer's youth. She told me in a stern voice. How could you want to ruin it all? My fists clenched as I thought about her life. Couldn't believe it. My husband, Kevin, came over and took my phone with care. Does not yet know the truth, he stated subtly. Jennifer has been deceiving her. Additionally, it's time for us to show her what truly occurred, I answered. Patricia entered my medical room. Her expression was irate and prepared to stand up for her daughter, but everything was different after Officer Jacob displayed the security footage to her. Listened intently to the video as it was playing. Jennifer was intruding into in the hospital. She was grinning, and as she took out my credit card, she laughed. I snapped shots of it after taking it out of my purse. She then took selfies while sitting next to me. Like robbing someone in a high-level care was a farce. Patricia's expression changed. Pale, she took a leisurely seat, her eyes. She said, I don't understand. Jennifer informed me that you gave her authorization. She said that you were attempting to compensate for constantly flaunting your cash. Kevin moved forward and said, Mom, Jennifer stole from Mary, very nicely, while she was in a hospital, unconscious bed. That's not an excuse. She didn't inquire, didn't give a damn, and simply. Patricia did not take what she desired. Initially react. Her hands were trembling as she examined her phone, very likely considering everything Jennifer had shared with her during the previous 3 weeks. With all those high-end garments and purses, at last she informed me that they were presents from pals. She even mentioned one. She earned the bag as a prize, and now everything was coming together for her as we sat quietly, understanding that this wasn't just concerning clothing or money. Jennifer had betrayed trust, not only with me, but with all those who were concerned concerning her. She would now need to confront the truth in a courtroom where lies are fail. Justice was at last catching up. After a few days, I sat in Jennifer's first hearing in the courtroom. The automobile was still hurting my body. Mishap, but I was resolved to be. I had to get this done there. I wanted to let her know what she had done. Jennifer wasn't going to be forgotten. Entered the courtroom dressed in a tidy attire and a self-assured smile. She appeared around as if nothing negative had happened would befall her. Nonetheless, that smile gradually began to diminish when her public. The defender read the accusations after getting to his feet. The judge responded, Miss Aniston, looking aimed straight at Jennifer, the proof against you is quite powerful. Clear video that demonstrates your theft from when your sister-in-law was hospitalized and unconscious. Do you recognize the gravity of this situation? Jennifer continued to believe she could talk her way out of it. She said, raising her chin. Honor, this is merely a miscommunication. I had a deal with Mary. She's constantly flaunting her wealth, and she provided her credit card to me in order to make purchases. Between us, the judge's expression became grave. While she was in critical care, unconscious, he inquired. Jennifer stopped and said, "Well, I didn't possess a response." The prosecutor rose. Afterward he said, "Your Honor, we have clear video proof demonstrating the defendant entering Mrs. Berry's multiple times in the hospital room. She was observed looking through her bag and photographing her credit card. We additionally possess a phone call recording where she acknowledges her actions and even making mockery of the victim's illness. This was when Jennifer first began to look anxious. Her face turned pale. She stared at Kevin in the hopes that he would awaken. He didn't even glance at her defense, though. He had a chilly face. His own sister had cheated on him, and there was no turning back. The judge exhaled deeply. Due to how well thought out and intentional, he remarked, "Your acts were, I am turning down the plea agreement. This case will forward with a full trial." Jennifer's. The lawyer promptly requested a little recess to have a conversation with her outside of court. Even after they left, we could still hear her sobbing in the corridor. For the initial time, it appeared that Jennifer understood. She couldn't get away with lying. Of this, she had always thought she deserved better. She believed she could deprive me of an attribute it to jealousy or family matters. She believed that we would shield her simply because we were connected. However, she was now discovering that even when it comes to family, stealing has serious consequences. When the hearing, Jennifer's voice was hushed as she went on. She accepted a plea bargain. Following, her self-assured demeanor was vanished. The judge scheduled her sentencing, and she was handcuffed and brought away. Her elegant attire was abandoned in favor of a simple orange jumpsuit. As we left of the courtroom, Patricia came up to us. It was evident that her eyes were crimson. She had been in tears. "Mary, Kevin," she said. Whispered. "I apologize so much. I should have been aware that Jennifer was lying. Mary, I've always envied you, but I didn't anticipate her going this far." I regarded her. She had lost her anger. She appeared exhausted and heartbroken. I was aware. We had all been harmed by this. All of us desired to think Jennifer was superior to this. However, the truth was now available in the open. Some lessons are learned too late. However, at least the healing process could start now. I said, looking down. Sometimes realizing is the most difficult thing to accept. That the person you love isn't the person you believed them to be. After several months, I was once again in the courtroom. This instance was for Jennifer's punishment. Still, I had some suffering from the mishap, but psychologically, I had made great progress. I wasn't upset. No longer. I was simply waiting for everything to end. The prosecutor got up and said something loud enough for everyone to hear. "Your Honor, we have evidence that this crime was planned by the defendant weeks in advance. Her online activity reveals that she looked for items such as a credit card, hospital security systems, and theft. Prior to Mrs. Berry's mishap, as Mrs. Berry was defending herself in the hospital, the accused, her sister-in-law, exploited her condition for her personal gain. He hesitated, then turned to face Jennifer. She just expressed remorse after being discovered. We are requesting that the entire sentence be permitted. As part of the plea agreement, Jennifer took a seat at the defensive table, which appears completely different from the self-assured woman she used to be. She had lost her expensive designer clothes. Rather, she donned a simple black suit. It appeared overly large on her slender body. It was evident that incarceration had transformed her. Her expression was worn out, and she appeared for the first time to be genuinely fearful. The judge looked at Jennifer. He said, "Miss Aniston, before I give your sentence, what do you have? You want to say something?" Jennifer stepped up. Slowly. Her hands trembled as she included a tiny bit of paper. She glanced anxious and uncertain. "I would want to state that I'm..." With a feeble voice, she apologized. "I was envious. Observing Mary's life as I desired infuriated me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Wasn't just. I noticed her credit card. Something in her purse made me broke. She wouldn't miss it, I assured myself. The cash. I even persuaded myself that, for all the years I owed her, fought. However, I was mistaken. I observed cautiously, questioning whether she really intended to or if this was simply another one of her shows. Kevin took a seat, holding my hand at my side. His expression was unreadable. The judge maintained composure and, very seriously, he said to Miss Aniston, "Your behavior demonstrated brutality and selfishness. You took from a sick person and you lied after she was unable to defend herself about it and attempted to persuade others to in her favor. This court cannot disregard what you did." He grabbed his documents. "You receive a 19-month sentence. 6 years of probation and 6 years in prison. Must also reimburse the entire sum that you theft in addition to further penalties. The goods, the items you purchased will be sold to help cover your debt." When the bailiff arrived to pick her up, Jennifer turned away, then glanced back at us. The proud look she used to have was gone. She looked for the first time like someone who was genuinely aware of what she had lost, more than simply cash or her freedom, but the love and confidence of those who had formerly been interested in her. Outside the courthouse, Patricia greeted us. Jennifer's mother, with red eyes. "I've been thinking a lot," she said, sobbing. Whispered, "For years I made justifications for Jennifer's envy. I always persuaded myself that she was simply leaving through a difficult period, but I can now see that I disregarded the warning indications. I ought to have anticipated this." I nodded. "We all wish to have faith in people, but it can be difficult to face the reality at times. Consequently, we took our first actual actions in the direction of recovery toward tranquility and toward a life that is no longer manipulated by falsehoods." I slowly nodded. Everyone wished to think that family meant something to her. Kevin's jaw dropped. He sighed, "The hardest thing is being aware that she had everything prepared. Simply respond to the situation. She awaited the perfect moment to exploit us. Although the reality hurt, we were adjusting to it." During the next. After a few months, things started to shift. Police completed gathering the final Jennifer's purchases made using my credit card theft. All of her designer shoes, purses, and clothing were all packaged up and put up for auction. The majority of the goods sold for significantly less than what she had paid, leaving her once full abode empty. Empty, except to serve as a reminder of how quickly everything had collapsed. Jennifer started sending me letters while incarcerated. They were full of excuses to start. She placed the blame on the circumstance and on me. Mentioned that I had shoved her aside with my success. I never responded, but I did read them. Although I wasn't prepared, something began to shift. Over the course of the months, around 8 letters sounded different. One letter after months of her incarceration caught my attention. I wasn't a simple thief. I stole your money, she wrote. I betrayed our family's confidence, and the worst. The thing is, I can no longer even hold you accountable. I read those lines and I am solely to blame for this. On multiple occasions. For the first time, it seemed to mean what she was saying. Stating. Kevin didn't discuss Jennifer, even though I was aware that he was consulting a therapist. I could tell he was still troubled by treachery.